The next challenge is babycsrf. It says JSONP is an old pattern for getting data into JavaScript. It's insecure. Can't change the name. You get to submit a URL to the admin bot. So yeah, we have an @cut. So this is where we're going to send our URL. I recommend learning how to use ngrok and Python Flask. Admin cookie is set with same site none. Cool. And we're given the website, the challenge files, and a little solve template. If we look at the website, just says welcome to my homepage. Message of the day is an example flag. If we look at network, we'll see there's a call to API. And so it's just calling API and it's returning a JSONP. So that's JavaScript with padding. I'm not really sure why it's called that, but JSONP is a bypass of the same origin policy. So if you're not familiar with JSONP and why it's bad, probably the most important security within the browsers are the same origin policy. And what that means is, so right now my browser is connected to this domain. And so this domain, I'm running code from this domain, but this domain is in its own little sandbox. So it's not able, the JavaScript loading on this page is not able to like call out to my bank. Like for example, I'm probably in my browser. At some point I was probably logged into my bank and I have cookies established with that bank. But this website isn't allowed to just make like a fetch request or a JSON request to the bank because it'll be blocked by the browser due to the same origin policy. But you are allowed to download some resources from any domain, and those would be like JavaScript, CSS, images. You're allowed to request those resources cross-domain because they're supposed to be static. They're not supposed to have user information. But JSONP is a way where you're downloading JavaScript, but it's really like JavaScript with data. And so it's kind of like a workaround through the same origin policy. Really, you shouldn't be doing this. Like if you really need to do something like that, you should be looking at the cross-site resource sharing headers. But anyways, it's a common thing. JSONP is also used for like CSP bypasses, for installing service workers, any content reflection attack. There's a lot of fun stuff with it. But anyways, so we have this JSONP request, and it looks like, we'll look at the source code, but I guess it looks like the admin will probably return the real flag. But anyways, let's look at the source code that was given. So we're given this challenge file. It's a Flask app, the home HTML, there's a home route, and then there's this API call. That API call is the JSONP call, and it's a secret is equal to the cookie. So we guess that the admin has the cookie, and they'll return this. Cool. And so the attack isn't too bad. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to set up our own web page somewhere, and we're going to send a URL to that web page to the admin bot. And when the admin bot goes to our page, that page is allowed to request resources from this domain, specifically the JSONP one, because it is JavaScript. It's JavaScript with sensitive information. But we're still allowed to make it because it is a legitimate JavaScript request. And in the challenge hint, they showed that same site is equal to none. So that means we're allowed to do these kind of cross-domain requests. Same site none is, I wouldn't say it's new, but it's relatively new, maybe in like the last 5 years, and it's a good protection against CSRF. Anyways, so the solution's pretty simple. We're going to create our own HTML file. So I called it solve.html, challenge solution. They mentioned that we had to use their name. So normally when you make a JSONP request, normally it'd be like name is equal to, and then you give it a function name. They're just using a constant function name, which is setMessage. So we just need to define a setMessage on our attacker page. So we use setMessage, we just log it out. Then we're going to set the location back to us. So we're using ngrok here. Oh, I need to update the URLs. So we're going to use, this is our URL here, and this one. So when an attacker comes here, they're going to load the script. It's not going to execute yet because it's a function. The attacker, the admin, will then call this JSONP function. This will return the flag and call setMessage. Then setMessage will be called, and we'll do a redirect with the secret, which was passed into this function. So we need to send the admin this URL so that they'll come to our file. And just to make sure it works, we go here, we're redirected, and we can see it's the fake flag. So it seems to be working. I wonder if it's still live. We'll copy it. It is. We need to do the challenge script. There we go. Copy that, put that in. It asks for a URL. We'll send it here. Oops. Kablamo, and then we see a request, and there's 2 requests. Cool. So, like I said, it went to this URL, it loaded solve, and then it got the redirect after the JSONP, and it went to this URL. So, fun little challenge. Obviously, JSONP is dangerous. We should never be using it.